Welcome to the Innovation Conversation, a podcast about innovators, both in business and real life. Hosted by myself, Ricardo Pascual, and Harry McDonough. This podcast is also sponsored by ODEV Tech. ODEV Tech is your premier software development partner. Make sure you check them out at odev.tech. The podcast is also sponsored by Notion.so. Notion is offering 6 months for free for new users. Make sure you check out our website, thestartupevents.co.uk, to redeem this offer.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Innovation Conversation. Today we are joined by Ross McCarthy. Ross, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Ricardo. Looking forward to it.
Ross, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Ross, the founder of Frugal. Been in insurance quite a while now and just started my own venture. So here we are.
All right. So what prompted you to launch Frugal?
Customers complaining. And no, I jest. There's a bit of truth in that. Obviously, I've been in insurance for 6 years and have had a lot of customers who are unhappy, shall we say, with current offerings. And about 2 years ago, I really started to deep dive into them pain points, interview them, survey them, ask them why they're coming back to me each year, and find out, really dig into the pain points and see what was what. So yeah, that was really what drove me into this new venture.
Nice. And I mean, you've actually done, I guess, your product market fit way before you actually launch something, which is unique, I would say, for most startups. They normally do the other way around, which is, let's build something and then see if it actually fits the market. So you've done all the right steps. I mean, what's the feedback you're getting from customers or from the market so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. A lot of the customers are refreshed to see something new come to the market, because for so long, I mean, obviously, I don't know your own experiences with insurance. I'm sure we'll get into that, but a lot of customers, it's the biggest grudge purchase of the year. It's something that they've got to have more often than not legally. And it's something that they just don't want to think about, even when they have to think about it. So it's one of them annoying purchases that we're trying to put a spin on that makes it a bit more of a pleasant process for customers, but also something that they can rely on and not have to feel like the back's up against the wall each year, purely driven by price. So that's my mission.
And how is it different than a traditional, I guess, insurance provider?
Yeah, so the traditional insurance providers, there's nothing wrong with them. There's a place for it, and there has been. Obviously, they've got, especially what I call the composite insurers, they've got massive market share. Where we stand out and where we are different, we truly put the customer first. So we provide the customer with the tools to say, look, your insurance is going to cost this, but we give you this to do this. So we're giving the customer the tools to make massive savings on their insurance costs at the end of the year and every year. So it's not just a backhanded discount or the customer has to ring up to say, look, my insurance has gone up again. What can we do about it? That's stressful for the customer. It's not pain-free. It's not the right approach, what insurer should be taking. Loyalty should be rewarded. And we're big on that. So we want to make sure that the customer is our customer and is going to stay our customer because we're doing the right things for them. So how we do it different, to answer your question, is we're dipping into the world of cashback. So we make sure that the customer has all the tools to save a substantial amount of money at the end of the year. And we think the best way to do that is by allowing customers to leverage their everyday bank account spend. So we tap into open banking, enable customers to earn a bit of extra money on their everyday purchases, whether that's in Starbucks buying a coffee or whether it's a massive purchase like a holiday. It doesn't really matter. It's all about the incrementality of doing the daily stuff that everyone does, but getting rewarded by one of your grudge purchases to do that, i.e. insurance. So that's really our focus and our goal.
That's pretty good. And it puts a different spin on normal insurance companies, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to describe it, we're not trying to change the wheel. We're just changing the tires. That is literally it. We're not trying to reinvent anything. It's just something different that customers hopefully buy into and love. That's all we can ask.
Interesting. What has been the biggest struggle so far in your company?
The biggest struggle, trying to speak to as many people as possible. There's only obviously a very, very small team, and there's only so many hours in the day that I could speak to people. I wish I could do that as my sole responsibility in the business, but unfortunately, there's a few things that a few other plates that I need to spin at the moment.
I completely get that. It's like sometimes you actually need even though you're just starting out, you kind of need an assistant from the get-go. Does get, complicated, especially when you don't have unlimited budget, because otherwise you can just, get multiple people doing it. But yeah, I completely get that. And, what's the next step? I mean, you kind of told me off the timer, that you're looking for investors right now. So you're looking for what, pre-seed or?
Yeah, we like to call it a mini pre-seed. So we're not obviously a position I would say as yet to really go into VCs or anything like that for obvious reasons. We're pre-market and pre-revenue. So really at this moment in time, we want to speak with angel investors that have either an avid interest in insurance and changing the game a little bit, or just angel investors that like what we're doing and want and obviously buy into it. So it's, when I say mini pre-seed, we've got an amount of money that we'd like to raise, obviously for functionality of the business and stuff like that. We're not wanting to go wild on any mad marketing campaigns. We want to take it really, really slowly, gain customer trust, and then build from there. So there will be a place for further investment and follow on, but at the moment, it's specifically angels that we want to speak with.
And your market, it's just the UK?
Yes, just the UK. For now.
For now. That's the key element there, just for now.
Yeah.
Interesting. And, when you're coming up with this idea, how should I put this? Not so much of what's the biggest struggle, but what's the thing you kind of want to change looking back when you first started? What's the one thing you kind of realized by now, actually, we should have done this differently?
Oh, very good question. Speak to more and more people. Obviously, I think I did the right thing with, that was the first thing that I did before I even registered a domain name or anything like that, before Frugal was even a thought and a prayer. It was speak to customers. And I had the beauty of doing that because of the job that I was doing anyway. So I was speaking with customers. It wasn't like I was coming out of the blue at customers, standing in the street saying, what's going on with your insurance? I was already deep diving into it with customers because I was helping them in my other position. But I wish, if obviously I had the time again, I would have just gone a bit harder on that and maybe even put a bit of money behind surveys, like professional surveys, not just me speaking to the customers that I could. I mean, we got a good scope of it. We had hundreds of customers that we surveyed and ultimately joined the waiting list. But I wish I probably would have put some money behind it, maybe like a Survey Monkey campaign or something like that to really dig a bit deeper. But hindsight's a wonderful thing.
True. Is this your first startup?
Correct. Yeah, my first startup.
Okay, so it's what did your friends and family told you when you told them that you're going to launch a startup? They say you're going crazy or about time?
There's probably a mix of both. I mean, I've always been doing different sort of things on the side. Never a full startup that's proper anyway, shall we say. But my family weren't so surprised. Probably think, oh, raise Ross with another venture again or another dream to chase. But this one, they actually was like, no, this is clever. This is smart. They like the simplicity of it. And again, family and friends is probably an unfair judgment of your business because they have obviously they've got bias towards it. But with this, they were like, no, I could see myself using this straight away. So it was like a nice, refreshing thing. And I wanted it to be as holistic as possible and just take me out of it. What do you think of the proposition as a whole? And yeah, they like it.
And how are you finding the fundraising process? Is it very complicated or very straightforward?
I think the hardest part about the fundraising is actually putting time to do it. It's a full-time job in itself. I mean, I could easily spend hours on LinkedIn and going to events and things like that. But at this moment in time, I had to make a judgment call to say what's more important, my customers or investors. So I think my time is best served with the customers, because at the end of the day, I could speak to 100 investors. Some of them might like it, but it's always going to be that time that it takes to get the money in. And then I'd still be in the stalls with customers, because I might have money in the bank, but I won't have customers that know what I'm doing or what we're doing and where we're going. So yeah, I'm happy with the position that we've took, and it started to organically trickle in with investors just by being visible on LinkedIn and stuff like that. So I am actively pursuing them, but at the same time, I'm not putting days out of my week into doing it. It's just been more of like a laid back approach now. Whether that's right or wrong, time will tell.
Time will tell. I'm always curious on the entrepreneur journey. Like, what do you actually do when you're having a bad day? Because I'm sure you have plenty of those, right? Especially when you're building something from scratch. What do you do?
Absolutely.
How do you recharge? How do you get back, into shape, type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky in that regard that I've got two co-founders. I've got obviously Sina, who you already know and you're familiar with. And I've got another co-founder called Asaf, who's based in Washington, DC. And Asaf especially, he's been in my seat, been there, done that. He's obviously a CEO of a business already. And he very much keeps me in check. We are chalk and cheese, as in personality-wise. I'm the dreamer, he's the realist. And when I am having a bad day, obviously he's there to pick me up. Sina as well, we sort of like bounce off each other really. But it's a lonely place. You're right. It's something where you've got to shake it off quickly, because there's nobody really coming over the hill to save your day. It's either you or nobody. So yeah, shake it off quickly is my answer to that question.
Interesting. And on your journey, what type of books inspired you to kind of launch the business, if any?
Yeah, I'm not a massive reader. I'm more audiobooks, and that's purely because
I'm the same.
Yeah,
audiobooks all the way.
Purely because of obviously concentration. I've never been geared the way of sit in a classroom and a conventional. There's a book, digest all of that, and then write an essay. I'm more on the job sort of thing. But the books that I love, you've got obviously the Shoe Dog, Richest Man in Babylon, all of them. 80-20 principle is I've come to love more and more as I've actually understood what it means. But yeah, probably out of the three, 80-20 principle is my go-to, I would say.
Interesting. And Brewdog as well as a book.
Yeah, Shoe Dog. Shoe Dog.
Sorry, I thought you meant Brewdog. I'm like, oh, the guy actually wrote a book.
No. I don't think I'd buy it if he did, to be fair.
Yeah, good beer, but a highly controversial fellow. So.
Yeah, massively. Yeah.
And how are you finding, this whole journey? What would you change if you could change something in the whole journey? Because there's always something like some people say, oh, it's hard to get funding, or I don't like the current legislation, or this or that. So what would change if you could?
I think there's a lot to be said about funding. I mean, you probably could tell by the common accent that I'm not from London. I'm from Manchester, and there is a stigma around funding in the UK, especially, that it all has to come from London. And there's probably a lot to be said for that, because the majority of the funding for my type of business does come from London. It's not a big arena in Manchester for insurtech, especially. Fintech's starting to rise, and I would probably consider our business hybrid between a fintech and an insurtech. I'd probably say that it was more accessible of where you can find it without having to hunt for hours of where these people live, breathe, work. That would make it a lot easier and bring that barrier down, because unless you know where to look and who to speak to, and it's all built on connections. But if you're a founder that has no clue of the tools to use or where to go, or potentially to give yourself a head start, it can be very daunting, and you might even get your business off the ground without even having the tools to be able to do it. So yeah, that would be my only gripe really, is where are these angel investors? Where are these VCs? Where do they hang out? What do they want to see? And yeah, to be more visible. I think the one that I admire probably more than anyone is Harry Stebbins. I think he's a fantastic advocate for investors because he doesn't hide behind anything. He's very, very visible. He does obviously a podcast as well. And it just gives people ammunition to say, right, okay, this is what an investor's looking for. Let's do that. Or let's approach it in this angle. Because sometimes if you're just looking at a face on a screen, you don't know what gets them out of bed in the morning, what they like, what they don't like. It's very, very old approach. But I think Harry is a testament to him with that. He's very, very good at it.
Did you ever, because you just said you come from Manchester, do you ever find that people are, I guess, doubtful of your ability to do things because you come from Manchester? Or quite on the contrary, the big Oasis fans, and they think, no, I'm sure you can.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think I've had a few interesting conversations with people. I mean, it's all in jest, but my accent is very, very strong. And the best way of describing it is sometimes to break the ice with that. I always say, have you ever seen the TV program Shameless? I grew up like 10, 15 minutes from there. And then it's a bit of like an icebreaker. And then that sort of stigma's gone because I'm not the poshest of people. I mean, I can put an accent on to try to be. But yeah, there's probably preconceptions as soon as I speak that, oh yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about sort of thing. But yeah, I'd like to think I booked the curve with that one.
It's quite interesting because obviously you're doing a very traditional industry, but you're also very creative and doing something completely new to that traditional industry. But then to even think that they would still frown upon whatever you're doing just because of your accent it's wow. it's a bit crazy.
We're competing with London though. I mean, especially in the early days of Frugal, when, to be honest with you, I didn't really know what it was. When I was just ideating things and speaking to people, I had some quite high-profile meetings with people involved at Lloyd's. So in that obviously massive arena, some of which were lovely, but others were very much 50-odd-year-old man, grey suit, answered a call mid-meeting and just disregarded me on the call. I was like, right, okay, is this the world in which we're operating in sort of thing? But you can't let it get to you because at the end of the day, you've got to look at it from their point of view. You've got some young Turk on the scene now who's trying to rewrite the facts of life. And they've been there and seen that for probably longer than I've been alive. So there's give and take with it. But I always think that you take someone at face value and don't ever disregard them based on where they're from in the world or how they speak. So yeah, that would be my point to them people if I ever came into contact with them again. But yeah, whether we will or we won't.
Do you think there's a lot of room to grow within this industry and it's actually ripe for disruption? Because we were talking, a while back about how complicated renewing your insurance, not renewing your insurance is, but actually getting the best value for money for insurance policies. It's an absolute nightmare. And I still can't believe to this day and age where you renew with the same company, but you might actually get a worse deal than a new customer. So you always need to be on the market. I mean, that's just ludicrous, the whole system. So do you think there's still like a lot of room to grow overall in the space?
Absolutely. There's a reason why the comparison sites have grown as big as they have. And the reason for that is that customers aren't happy and they are. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a place in the market for comparison sites if everyone stayed where they were. So this industry, they say that there has been, but there hasn't been really any change in a long, long time. And it will come. And I think the pivotal point of a lot of all of this will be when AI really hits. And I think that is because a lot of again, I'll mention them as the composites. So the composite insurers are the ones who've got the mass market share, the ones that everyone knows about, the Avivas of the world and such. They're making massive strides, but one thing you've got to realize is these companies are like cruise ships. So they're that big, it takes a long while for them to change direction or do something different. So there's always going to be a place for them because they're so big. They command that. They will be able to take market share while they're asleep. But the innovation will really, I think anyway, come from the challenger brands. Same as what we've seen in the banking industry, where you've always had your stalwart banking companies and then the likes of Starling and Monzo come around and really, really change the game. With insurance, there has been that sort of pivotal shift, but there hasn't been a shift really like there has in banking. So it will come and it needs to come because, like you say, it's an absolute nightmare for customers that if they choose and put their trust in one company and then at renewal, they're worse off to stay with that company than it would be to go elsewhere. For me, I think it's the only industry that I know of anyway, of where loyalty is just disregarded. It's just something where, all right, you're a customer of ours now, we'll do what we want sort of attitude. It's ridiculous. It's completely backward.
For me, it always struck me as something quite, let's take car insurance, for example, one of my pain points. I have several years no claim. I have my license for decades now. Never had a crash, thankfully. At least not of my own fault, which is also quite important. So I think of myself as a very safe driver. Yet every time I go to try to renew the insurance, they always ask me, "What do you do for a living?" And it's just really basic questions that can, in no way, shape, or form, determine what my driving style is. Because I can be, I don't know, an office clerk and drive like an absolute moron on the road. And there's no way for them to track that, right? Unless they put a black box. But then even the black boxes actually don't work that well. And then they start, I guess, how should I put this? They start penalizing you for driving at 3 a.m. But 3 a.m. is probably quite safe because there's no one in the road. So it's quite a lot of space there.
Yeah, it's these what's the word for it? It's this attitude towards that if you drive a certain car or if you're a certain age, you're fundamentally a bad driver or an unsafe driver. But you could flip that completely on its head and say, well, potentially some of the worst drivers on the road are over 60, for example, and not the under 20 age category that gets slaughtered on their costs, whether it's just by being the age. They might be driving a 1 litre car that's, you probably couldn't push it off a cliff at 100 mile an hour, but it's something where as soon as you mention insurance, there's a negative stigma attached to it. And you'd probably be hard pressed to find people who love insurance and think, oh, it's great that actually exists, because there's so many negative stories and experiences attached to it that that just shines through. There's nothing that's out there at the minute that a customer could probably say, you know what, this is brilliant, this is fantastic, and it does exactly what I need, and I'm never ever going to switch from that insurer, even if the price goes up a few pounds a year, each year, because they give me enough value add to say, okay, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that transfer of value to say, you get this, I get that. There's nothing like that there in insurance. It's very much purchase bought on legality, and that's...
Yeah, exactly. And then when you're doing them, you never know if it's going to go good, or if you're going to have a good experience or bad experience, right? It's always, let's see how it goes up with the scenario.
Yeah, there's two trigger points for insurance. There's your renewal and there's an event of a claim. So they're the two real points that you'll know if you're happy or not. Because let's face it, for 11 months of the year, nobody wants to think about insurance. So they put it in a drawer, forget about it until they actually have to act. So there's no relationship built in that 11 months. So it all comes down to price or claim experience. And if you fall down on either one of them, you've lost the customer anyway. So, I mean, you tell me, Ricardo, can you think of any other industry that doesn't really speak to their customers throughout the year and then hammer you for 1 month of the year? If they're not happy, then they just wave sayonara to you. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
I was going to say Netflix. I think I'm really pissed off with the fact they increased the prices.
Yeah, true. I think they could probably wangle the customer back though with putting a new show on or a film, something exactly like that. Again, the value add exchange might be worth it there.
No, but it is, and for the future, how do you see Frugal's growth? What are the plans for the future?
Yeah, so the plans, I mean, again, it's all going to come down to how fast we move with this. We've built the waiting list up to a nice number. I do want that to increase substantially because, again, with insurance, that we're not going to hit every single person on that waiting list that's going to need us there and then when we launch. So we do need to bump them numbers up. But yeah, we feel that we are positioned in a way in which every customer who has a need for our starting product, home insurance, and has a smartphone and use a banking app quite easily will have a place for Frugal. That is my belief. I think every single person that of them three instances that I've just explained will be able to effectively save money on their insurance costs and be a customer of Frugal's. I want to tread very, very carefully on expectations for growth and stuff like that because, again, we are fully bootstrapped. I'm hoping that if we do what we say we're going to do, which I firmly believe we will, the investment will come and the outreach to customers will just be more and more vast and we'll be able to really, really explode. That's the plan. And I think it'll speak for itself. I think the product is strong. Our USP really, really does the talking. We don't have to shout and scream or be the snake oil salesman to say, this is great. It really does everything the customer needs by the customer. It's not really us. We're just providing the tools to be able to do it. It's the customer that will really see their own savings rise based on their everyday spend and how they act with Frugal. Because again, there's going to be customers that save £100. There'll be customers that could save 500 plus. The beauty of Frugal is that it's personal to that customer. There's not a one size fits all approach, and there never will be. It's all based on that customer's spend, and obviously customers spend a different amount. That's fine, as long as it matters to you, and that's all that we can do.
It's always good. I mean, saving on insurance is something that is so in demand, right? Like, you talk with anyone, they will say, would you like to save on your insurance costs? Yes, 100%. Like, it's just a no-brainer. Like, everyone has a need for it. So I think the future is going to be really, really bright, which is awesome. Ross, if people want to reach out to you and find out more about Frugal and what you guys are doing, what's the best way of doing so?
Yeah, so the best way of doing so is follow me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on there. You can also email me. That's the other angle. Probably more active on LinkedIn for anything sort of conversational related. My emails at the minute are very much day-to-day stuff. But yeah, on LinkedIn, well, what's the best? Do you want me to say my handle or you put it in? Yeah.
Yep, I can put your handle. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that's the best way.
Right. Ross, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Perfect. Thank you, Ricardo.
The podcast is also sponsored by Notion.so. Notion is offering 6 months for free for new users. Make sure you check out our website, thestartupevents.co.uk, to redeem this offer. This podcast is also sponsored by startupnetworks.co.uk. Startup Networks, it's an online forum where you can find all the resources you need to run your startup, from grants to investors to tips and tricks on how to be successful in your startup. This podcast is also sponsored by ODEV Tech. ODEV Tech is your premier software development partner. Make sure you check them out at odev.tech.